In this special limited series, I'm taking you behind the curtain of the 2025 Bendigo Business Excellence Awards. Join me as I spotlight the winners of each category and discover what makes them truly exceptional.
White deer.
Jacqui Naunton is the founder of White Deer. They are the winner of the Small and Succeeding Award for 2025. Welcome, Jacqui. It has been a long time coming to get you into the studio, and this will be a short episode, but I swear I'm gonna get you back for a longer one.
I'm looking forward to both this session and any future chats we might have.
Great. Yes. Yep. That's signed on the dotted line.
Yep.
Jackie's coming back.
Cannot back out now.
That's right. Jacqui, you run a wonderful business, White Deer. Please give us, for anyone who has no idea what you do, tell us what White Deer is.
No idea what White Deer does.
Yeah, that's right.
It's actually quite tricky to explain because it's not like your average business. I'm not like, I do plumbing. It's quite convoluted. So if you're pretty much, I started off as a graphic design business. I was just, someone would come to me, they would say, I want a logo. I would say, here's your logo. And then a few years ago, just before I had my first daughter who's about to turn 5, I flipped my business on its head and I thought, you know what? I can't make money doing logos when I'm on maternity leave. So how am I going to make this a more sustainable business model for myself? So I changed things and decided to do more of a course model. So I launched an online course that taught business owners how to do designs themselves using programs like Canva. Then that kind of all grew beyond anything, and I launched like a one-on-one kind of program. I launched a one-to-many kind of program, and I launched a studio. So I still have design services happening, but I'm not doing that so much. My team does that. So I guess graphic design in one word, but kind of coaching and courses and graphic design if you want to kind of play it out more.
Wow. I remember when you first launched 5 years ago into the course side of things and followed along from the sidelines, and that was a pretty wild journey, right?
Yeah, it's so in the online service-based industry, like doing an online course is kind of like a dream for a lot of business owners in that kind of sphere. And it's all well and good until it gets tricky, because it is quite a tricky kind of, because you need to have so many people coming to you. It's hard to get yourself out there when you're faced. Like, I don't have that many local clients. It's all very global based, which means it's tricky to kind of get clients because they can go to anyone. Yeah, your base isn't just Bendigo; it's anyone at all. And so, it was quite tricky to build that up. But my first launch went really, really well. But then I exhausted all my audience, and so no one joined the second time I launched the course. And so it's been a bit of this journey of learning how to market, learning how to create, learning how to make a podcast and YouTube channels and guest masterclassing on places, just to kind of get my name out there to people and let them know that. Because a lot of the time business owners are using Canva and they're like, yeah, I'll use Canva. And then they get there and they realize they're creating rubbish because they don't actually know how to design. Canva doesn't automatically make you a designer. So it's kind of also about most of my job is honestly just educating people that design is important and there are things you do need to know to do it well. Let me teach you.
Right. So who are the different audiences that you serve with your different services?
So I find it's generally women in business, so we do have a few male clients, and I'm here for that. Just know that there's going to be a lot of purple and a lot of me being me. And then beyond that, it's a lot of online businesses, but it's really stretching out to pretty much anyone in business, to be honest, because I find that most businesses need design. And usually businesses are coming to me if they're on social media because there's some sort of businesses like my husband who does live streaming. His business doesn't need a ton of graphics. He just needs a logo, a website, and a flyer. Whereas the businesses that need that their promotion really needs a lot of turnover, they might need to be doing a lot of regular showing up, I say online, then they do find they need a lot of graphics. And when you need a lot of graphics and you're having to pay a designer for every single one of those graphics, it gets quite expensive. Ooh, and so I work with a lot of people who just want to save some money in that area. They're realizing that they can't outsource everything, or they don't want to outsource everything, because a lot of the businesses I work with are a little bit smaller. And so they're realizing that actually, hey, I want to be a part of my business in this area. I want to be able to create this graphic. Or even some people, I'm teaching them how to create their brand, their logo, their color palette, their everything, but teaching them how to do that well and in a way that they're proud of. Because so many of my clients, before they come to me, they're like, I made this thing in Canva, but it sucks. And I'm not proud to show as my business. And when you're not proud to show up, you really struggle to show up. So anyway,
Yes.
pretty much just any business that needs stuff.
Yeah.
If I was to niche down, I'm not. So yeah, anyone that needs graphics, and it depends on, sometimes they're people that really just want to outsource and then they come to my studio. Sometimes they're people that really want to DIY and they come to my course. And sometimes they're people that want to DIY a little bit or want to equip their team and then they come into some of my other mid-tier programs.
Yeah. Wow. So you've really diversified from necessity at the start to just a whole suite of different ways you can help businesses with design.
Yeah, it's like, if you need any sort of graphic design, my business will be able to help in whatever kind of way that you want to do that in. And I think that's a good thing. I've had to pivot. Like, design is going to get eaten alive by AI one day.
Yeah.
And I think the way that I pivoted from done for you services to everything else has kind of meant that my business is very, hopefully it's AI proof and recession proof and COVID proof. It was COVID proof and all of these different things proof because of the ability to pivot quite quickly and the ability to kind of add on or what I see as my clients or my students or my audience needs.
Well, you picked pretty well, and I don't know what your perspective has been with Canva, but Canva really has come into what was initially a disruptor, but not equivalent. Like, I still felt like I needed some other tools, but now Canva dominates.
Yeah. And that's another where I needed to pivot, wasn't it? Because 6 years ago when I started everything, a lot of graphic designers I talk to now that haven't pivoted to some extent to offer any sort of Canva, even Canva templates, then they're finding it trickier and trickier to get clients. And unfortunately, that's what's happening. And so I've been able to push into that rather than kind of fight it because it's so easy as in any space to be like, no, this is the way it's always been done. It needs to stay this way. But like even graphic design, even before Canva, had changed so much in the last 20 years. Like my uni lecturers would talk about like the typesetting or writing things down and photocopying them and writing and doing like the light boxes. And I was like, that's not my world. And it's changed so much. And now people learning design now will be like, oh, you didn't use Canva when you went to uni? Well, surely they don't use Canva at uni. I don't know.
I
don't know anymore, but I certainly didn't when I was at uni, but I've had to now learn that and pivot accordingly because it's definitely the bread and butter for most businesses, even businesses that have design teams, even my business. I don't have an Adobe subscription anymore because I don't need it for my business. My team has it because we need it for our studio clients. But in essence, it can do most things that most everyday people need. Yeah,
amazing. All right, so you've got a rockin' business. Where does most of your clients come from? Like, where would you spread around the world? Like, where are they?
Around the world is the great way to put it. It's definitely everywhere. I've got a lot of clients in the US. Pretty much 2 years ago, I started YouTube, and that just kind of, I was already global, but that just kind of catapulted things. So I've got a lot of clients in the US, probably more clients in my program. Like I've got a program called the Co-Creation Design Club, and it's more of like a group coaching thing where I kind of get into their brand more like their creative director.
Nice.
And in there, it's kind of weird to have a call with an Australian. I'm like, oh, hey, we have the same time zone and the same accent. And you understand, like, I say like classic Aussie things and my clients are like, sorry, what? And I'm like, oh, okay. You don't know that, means your design was actually great. I'm like, it's not bad. And they're like, does that mean it's good or bad? I'm like, no, it means it's great. And they're like, oh, okay, I did a good job in that. So that's a challenge. Anyway, so a lot from the US, I have the UK, I've got some Germany, I've got some in like Mauritius, and like a lot of people are usually like Americans that have moved to other places or Australians that have moved to other places. Because I am obviously limited to English speaking places at this point. Although dubbing and AI dubbing is going to be a whole other
Bring
thing.
on 11 labs.
Anyway, it's a whole other kettle of fish. And then a lot in the US, and there's not in the US, a lot in the New Zealand as well, and then obviously Australia. And like I said, not a ton in Bendigo yet, but I'm really pushing into that at the moment, which has been really fun to be like, oh, I can actually see you down the street. Like I went to the toy library recently and a lady's like, I know you. And I was like, you what now? Because I'm used to being so faceless in Bendigo.
Yes.
And she was like, oh yeah, I follow you. And she asked me about my course and then joined my course. And then we had a call together the other night and I was helping with her graphics, even though we were in the same town, even though we were on Zoom. And I was like, this is really beautiful. I actually really enjoy.
You met at the toy library.
Yes.
That's so good.
Shout out to the toy library.
Yes. What a good spot.
So great.
Oh, wow. Jacqui, that's amazing. So did you imagine when you were looking at what am I going to do on maternity leave that 5 years down the track, things would look like this?
I hoped they'd look like this, to be honest,
Yeah.
to some extent. Like, I think when people start online courses, they have big dreams of like all of this passive, I said that in quotation marks, income that
Yeah.
they can just launch this course and then make money while they sleep. And while that does happen, which is incredible, it's taken me it's probably actually 7 years since I actually started the course before I even had my baby.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to get to a point where I am now having consistent sales in my programs, or I have team in my studio. I definitely never thought I'd run a design studio. I just thought I would kind of just not do that anymore. But clients kept coming to me for work, and I had a friend saying, "Oh, I need some design work." And I was like, "Well, I've got clients, so let's put us two together." And I just spitballed from there, which is so fun.
Yes.
And then so I think the course, I pictured it going pretty cool, but all the other bits I've added, like YouTube, I would never have imagined having nearly 40,000 subscribers. I would never have imagined having a design studio. I would never have imagined having some of the kind of coaching programs that I'd have. I just thought, well, let's do a little online course on the side that will help to create some income while I'm parenting.
That's so cool. I love your journey and I love where you've taken it. Let's talk about the Business Excellence Awards. You were up for a finalist in 3 categories?
Yeah, 3 categories.
Woof. So tell me about the process from being nominated. Why did you decide to go through with the application?
Yeah, it was interesting. I last year was nominated, but I was nominated by myself because you can nominate yourself.
Yeah,
And then I
of course.
thought, you know what? I won't go through the application process. It's quite a lot. And because I nominated myself, I don't think I felt like I deserved to be there, which is not true for anyone
Not
that
at
nominates
all.
themselves. And then for this year, someone nominated me. I still don't know who. If you're listening to this, please come forward. I had a random lady comment on my YouTube saying, "Oh, I nominated you," but she was from the US. I'm like, you would have no clue this even existed. So why would you anyway? She didn't nominate me. So if it's actually come forward, you've got to be in Bendigo for me to believe you. Anyway, so I got nominated, and I thought about applying. And then I thought, you know what, that's too hard. I'm not a great writer. I've got a 1-year-old. And I was like, you know what, this is he wasn't even probably 1 by the time I got nominated. And I was like, you know what, this isn't the season. I will do this next year or the year after. And then I was actually driving to Melbourne to MC a book launch for someone.
Yeah.
And one of the ladies from Bendigo rang me and they're like, "You haven't submitted your application yet. Would you like to?" And I was like, I don't know. This was on the Wednesday. I think it was due on the Saturday evening.
Oh.
Sunday evening, I'm not sure.
Whoa.
And I was like, you know what? I'm nothing if not last minute. Let's give this a whirl. So
Yes.
I jumped onto ChatGPT because you're allowed to use ChatGPT.
Yes.
And I pretty much used it as my interviewer. I plugged in the questions and the criteria and I said, "Please interview me." And then I used that as a base to write all my application answers. And
Great.
I thought, you know what? I'm here. I might as well apply for as many categories as I feel like I'm relevant for. I think I applied for 4 categories. And as you say, I didn't actually get the category finalist that I thought would be if I was going to get one, I'll get this one, which I found funny. And so apply for everything that you could possibly apply for, friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, I applied for those things. They'd updated the platform of doing that.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done it previous years, but I found this one really easy to use, which was nice.
Yeah.
I say last minute. I was doing it pretty much on the Saturday
Yeah.
that it was due.
Yeah.
And my poor mum, I was like, "Can you please proofread this?" And she's like, "When's it due?" I'm like, "Later today." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "It was due at midnight." And then I was plugging all my answers in. And then I swear at like 11:30 p.m., I got to the end of one of the categories and I realized I clicked next and I thought it would be submit.
There's more questions.
There's more questions.
Jacqui.
There's
The category-specific
and I'd
ones.
done the category-specific questions for the previous 3 applications I'd just done, but I just had somehow missed them for this one. So I wrote them all out. I plugged back into ChatGPT. I was like, "Help me finish these questions." And we did it, and I submitted, I kid you not, at 11:59 when it was due at midnight.
Whoa.
And so that was the story of me applying.
Wow. So that sounds
you want
very
the honest
epic. Yeah, no,
I can pretend
do.
I'm unprofessional. But
No. That's the best answer there is. So that's a great way of using chat, by the way.
Yeah.
Like have it as the interviewer. I love the voice mode.
Yes, that's what I used.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just like spitballed everything I could think of as the answer, and then it made it something cohesive that actually made sense. And so, yeah, that made it really
clever.
Really achievable for someone like me who doesn't find writing easy.
Yep.
I'm always like, yeah. So I was really grateful for that tool.
Yeah, good. So then you moved into the judging phase and you got notified you were a finalist in 3 of the 4 categories.
Can I tell you about that moment?
Yeah, please.
I was at swimming lessons watching my daughter do swimming and looked at my emails and I saw an email come through of like, "You're a finalist." And I was like, nah. nah, mate, that's not actually true. Am I saying, we're sorry, you're not a finalist. Thank you for applying. I assumed that would be it. And then I opened it. I literally read it through like 3 times trying to be like, is this correct? And then I saw another email come through. And then I saw another email come through. I was like, that's definitely wrong now that it's 3. I was sitting next to a dad at swimming. I'd never spoken to him before. And I was like, excuse me, can you please look at my phone here? And can you tell me that this says that I'm a finalist in these things? And he's like, that's how it reads to me. And I was like, alrighty then, I guess this is true.
Whoa, that's mad. 3 out of 4. That's crazy.
I'm still shocked, even though it's after and I actually won one of them.
Love it. Which one did you think you were going to win?
I thought the one that I think you either won or was a finalist in the
creative industries.
Yeah, I was like, I'm creative. Surely that's the one I'm actually going to have a chance in.
That's great. Yeah. I thought similarly, but for other ones as well.
There you go.
Like, I reckon I might have a chance at this one. No.
Shows to apply for the ones that you don't think you have a chance in. Like, one of the ones I got finalisted in, I keep on having trouble with that word, was for the global footprint.
Yeah.
And the other business that was the finalist in that was like the one that won the big.
Yep. You had 2 other finalists there, AgriNouse and Safety. Oh my goodness.
The
ISH24,
that one, yes.
Safety and Rescue, which I've had Paul on the show recently.
And he took out the big award, and I was like, there was no way I could ever compete with that. But at least I got to do the interview, and that was one of my favorite interviews actually. That was a great interview. They were wonderful. And anyway, I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah, the judging process. Tell me what was it like? What did it look like?
Yeah, so pretty much, I got the email saying, this is the time to come in. Obviously, I had to come in 3 different times for 3 different interviews. I think around 20 minutes long. And you sit down. It's very daunting. I wasn't sure if I was meant to create like a presentation or if I was just going to be asked questions. All of them were a little bit different.
Yeah.
But the first one, it was very much just come in. And then I was like, all right, I'm meant to talk. And so I gave my little presentation, which thankfully I had prepared, plugged it into the little TV there, and I just shared my story. Like some people, I think there was lots of different angles you could take in that interview process of like, do you present something really specific to the award and like or that category, or do you present your story, or do you present? So I ended up presenting my story with a bit of a spin for whatever the award was. Like for the global one, I shared my YouTube story and what kind of people I was touching in different countries and what the stats were for my podcast and the stats were for YouTube. For the women in business one, and kind of touched more on how I was hiring women and how I loved working with women and I loved empowering women in the business. And so like kind of focusing on that kind of angle. And then the small and succeeding category, which is the one I ended up winning, I shared my story again, which was really just sharing my story and sharing the business's journey to where I am today, which was really, really nice. And so, I just chatted with 3 incredible business owners and got to share my story. And then he asked me a few questions afterwards, and it was really kind of fun. It was less scary than I thought, although equally as scary as I thought.
Both and. So tell me about the category small and succeeding. Like what does that category mean to you, and why do you think the judges picked you as the winner?
Yeah, so it was kind of just you have 2 or more employees and you're just doing a great job. And I was like, I'm that.
Yeah.
I had only recently, like in the past, I'd only used contractors or no one. And so I'd only recently kind of come into this area where I felt like I was a proper business. Before that, I was like, I'm just a little freelancer running a little online business, which is still relevant. And I still could have applied for a couple of the categories. But this small and succeeding one needed to have 2 employees, which I just had. And I was able to, just go in and share my story. And I think what really resonated was, I think one thing people were really proud of was, and this happened in a few of the judging categories, was just the way I've created a business that is sustainable for this season of my life. And so for those who don't know me, I do, as I mentioned, I have 2 kiddos, one who's only 5, one who's 1. And my priority is to be a stay-at-home mum. My husband, he works normally, he runs his own business. And my priority was just to have a business and be a mum. And that was just my dream forever. That was my blueprint for life. My mum ran a business as well. And I just saw her being this working person, but she probably didn't come and stay at home as much as I wanted to. So I wanted to be, I want to have both, which is a bit ambitious, and I don't always recommend, but it's worked out for me, which is nice. And so the way that I had cultivated and pivoted my business, I think they're really proud of, like from Canva, from just solo designing to really embracing the Canva, embracing teaching people, embracing having a team, and doing all of those pivots and changes along the way, I think really resonated with them. And then the way that I have been able to grow my audience, and I've been really intentional about that. I'm not I'm not just a little Bendigo business, even though being a little bit Bendigo business is incredible. I have been able to expand beyond Bendigo and show Bendigo off to the world and share my mission, my vision and my teaching with people worldwide and really push into whether it's YouTube or the podcast and all those areas too, which I think we kind of forget that Bendigo businesses can do that. Like we can have an impact in Bendigo and we can also have an impact worldwide, which has been really fun for me. And I think those are the things that kind of show that, I have created a sustainable business and I have been able to reach a wider audience and have a big impact.
Two things I'm really delighted to hear you saying is, and I'm going to ask you about your own podcast, but the other one is that Bendigo and regionally based businesses can have an impact on the world stage. That's like literally our tagline, right?
Oh, there you go.
Hebron Films, helping remarkable regional businesses perform on the world stage.
Yeah, it's so true.
And that's more than possible. Like you can stand out amongst your peers on a global scale.
Yep.
In your industry, and we have a per capita I think an amazing percentage of businesses locally that do that already, but maybe the world just doesn't know about it yet. I want to ask you though. There's not often that I get a podcast professional.
Professional's a strong word.
On the podcast. Tell me how have you found podcasting valuable for your enterprise?
Podcasting's a wild ride. So that was something else I very intentionally started before I had my daughter because again, as a course creator, I needed to have content going out quite regularly or spend a lot of money in ads, which I didn't have at the time. And so I decided, you know what, I'll create a podcast because that way I can batch it. I can record 10 podcasts so I can have, that's going out weekly, that'll be 10 weeks of maternity leave, for example. I think I created even more than that. And that was literally the reason I started it. And originally it started as Design Hacks for DIYs. Now it's called Seriously in Business Podcast because design makes you look seriously in business.
Nice.
And it's been a wild ride. It's tricky. Podcasting is tricky for a few reasons. One, because you don't get a ton of back and forth with your audience. Like Instagram, I've got comments. Yeah. Podcasting, you can technically leave comments, but rarely anyone does. YouTube, people leave comments. Like it's very much you're talking to nothing, and you've got to just trust people are hearing it. And it's hard to get your podcast out there. It's not like it just it doesn't often pop up to people randomly. So you've really got to promote it. And then so like my downloads have not been huge, but every now and then I get someone that messaged me saying, I've just binged all your podcast episodes. I'm like, are you serious? That was 235 episodes. Like, are you wild? And then they tell me that they've done it over a long period of time or they haven't got through all of them yet. But I think some of them have. And I was like, that's incredible. And they're learning so much from it. And so I think it's been really good. But two of the things that's been helpful, two huge things that are not things that people would normally think of about podcasting is obviously it's got the reach. Obviously it's reaching people and helping me promote my business. But beyond that, it's helped me to craft my message. Like every single week for the last 5 years, I have recorded a podcast episode or at least batched one. And that's a long time, Caleb, to be talking about design.
It's a long time, Jacqui. Wow.
And so because of that, I have gotten so good at speaking about design. I've worked out systems and frameworks for how to teach people this. And like, I've just re-recorded my whole course that I started 5 years ago because I'm like, I have honed my way of speaking so much more. I know how to explain this concept 20 times better because I've spoken about it 50 billion times on this podcast. Not 50 billion times, obviously.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So I think one reason it's been really helpful is to help me hone my message and to be able to just get better at my craft, which at the moment my craft isn't necessarily just design. It's being able to communicate design and brand and teach that to everyday humans.
Yep.
And then secondly, it's helped me to have content. So for all my other channels, for example, my podcast also goes to YouTube. Then my podcast, I give it to my team and they repurpose it to LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube and Instagram. And so like Instagram, we're putting out like 5 different posts per podcast episode, Instagram stories, like LinkedIn posts, Pinterest pins and the YouTube. And so all I have to do is sit down and record one thought for me for 20 minutes and that gets outworked into so much content. A blog post as well. We also do a blog post.
Good.
And so there is so much content that comes from this one kind of thought leadership piece from my brain that my team can then take, and it's still me because it's taken from that. And then they can, like people say they have trouble posting on social media, just start a blog or a podcast. And even if the podcast doesn't go so great, you're still honing your message and you're still having a ton of content you can just repurpose 1,000 ways.
Yep. One thought from you becomes blogs, pins, posts, reels, stories.
So many things. And like we could do more. Like it's not as if we're running short on like I could do 2 posts a day to Instagram and still not run out of content from one post, from one kind of podcast.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You're leveraging the absolute crap out of it.
Yeah, everything. Like that's what I got to do in this season. I can't do anything in this season of my life of only really working 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Plus nap times and evenings. That is wasting my time.
No.
It needs to all be so very intentional and so very leveraged. Otherwise, I don't have time to actually grow my business. I'm just doing busy work.
Yep. Yep. Wow. I'm going to sit down and have a long, hard look at myself in the mirror and go, what am I doing with 5 days a week that I could be doing better?
I actually think I'd be less productive if I had 5 days a week. I just have to cram it all in. Like on Tuesdays when I have my full day to work, I'm definitely less productive because I'm like, oh, I've got the whole day to do stuff.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's going to tick around in my head a little bit. I want to land this episode. We're going to dive so much deeper in on the full version of your story. Don't you worry. What advice would you give to people that are thinking about the Business Excellence Awards and going, is it worth it? Should I follow through on a nomination or nominate myself?
Yeah, definitely do it. Like there's pretty much nothing to lose except for a little bit of time in that writing of application. But that writing of the application, I'm sure your other guests have said, is such a clarifying thing for your own business. Like I actually twigged a few things. I was like, I want to seem like a better person. I want to treat my team better. So then I got my VA to like note all their birthdays and now I send them a gift on their birthdays.
Hey.
And I was like, I wouldn't have done that if I didn't go through the Business Excellence Awards application and realize I wanted to be a better boss. And so it helped with that. And it also just helped with me like realizing my goals and realizing my journey and realizing this whole kind of process. And I can probably reuse that application for other business things or other, like there's so many things I could do with that. And just the mindset of taking the time to, I think obviously in business, we work in our business and we work on our business. And this is kind of like stepping out of all of those things kind of more on your business stage and just spending time on the business and reflecting rather than just constantly getting caught up in, like as a small business owner too, like no one's making me do yearly reports or 5-year goals. Like none of that's happening, honestly. Sometimes I do a little bit for my coach because she makes me. But beyond that, I'm not doing a ton of reflection. I'm not doing a ton of planning or goals. And that was the questions that this application process asked me. And so it was nice to sit down and think those through. However rushed it was still a process. My brain had to go through pretty much that whole Saturday I spent doing it. And I enjoyed that process. And then beyond that, just going through the process of the interviews and then going to the awards night and that moment of having your name called up was just, if anyone saw the footage, I shared it on my Instagram. I was crying, obviously. I was like, what is my life? How have I won an award in an actual place that's not like online? Not that I've won any awards, to be honest. And it was just a really cool moment of being like, you know what, I do have a good business. It was kind of like a little pat on the back that you don't often get as a business owner. You kind of, you're just doing the thing day in, day out. And so it was really nice to have that recognition. And we got a couple clients from it. And it was just nice to feel, it was a great process. And
Well, that was my last question is, how's business been since winning the award? We're a few months after now. What was the impact of it?
Yeah, I think the impact, we definitely got a few clients from it, especially in the studio. I think I had some people join my course.
Wow.
And a few people that are still messaging me saying, I think I'm going to join your course. So that's been one side of it. And the other side of it is encouragement, I guess, for me to push into Bendigo as well. I think I'm still a little bit nervous of this. As someone with an online basis and a relatively big-ish following, not huge by any stretch, but big-ish, I'm like, if people know I live in Bendigo, they could stalk me. But I haven't had anyone ever do that. So now I'm just like, I live in Bendigo, come to this thing. And so like I'm hosting an event soon in Bendigo and there's been a ton of like ticket sales. It's free, but a ton of ticket sales to come to it. And I never would have I don't think that would have happened if I didn't win the awards. I think it's kind of just put my name a little bit on people's radars. It's helped make me more confident in showing up. And it's an exciting kind of, you won an award. It's so cool.
It is so cool and very well deserving. You're an absolute powerhouse, Jacqui, and I love just listening to how your brain works and how you approach business because you have a limited time by design and you're doing a lot with it. So love your work and I can't wait to get you back into the studio for a longer unpacking of what that journey's been like.
Thank you. It's been such a joy. I love chatting business. So this has been so fun. And yeah, definitely I'm so grateful for the business awards as well.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode as part of the limited series Team Up with B Bendigo and Hebron Films, featuring the winners of the 2025 Business Excellence Awards. There are 13 episodes in total in this mini-series, so if you're at all curious about the other award recipients, then head over and check them out. We also have a new episode of Remarkable Regional Business dropping every fortnight, so please follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And finally, if you know someone who has or runs a great regionally based business and has a remarkable story to tell, then I would love to get them into the studio and tell it. You can dob them in at hebronfilms.com/podcast.